Hey everybody, welcome back to Montreal Connected. Now, McGill University has a long and illustrious reputation for success of its athletes and sports teams. Getting the word out about the school's varsity teams is a responsibility for longtime sports information officer Earl Zuckerman. With more on the man they call Earl the Pearl, here is our producer, George Athans.
Yeah, he was an athlete here. Then he became the first director of athletics at McGill.
Earl Zuckerman is red all over. He sported McGill's colors as a student, and his work as a sports information officer is read constantly by the media, athletes, visiting teams, and faculty members. Zuckerman started as a volunteer hockey statistician at McGill, and 35 years later, he is the longest-standing university sports information officer in Canada. Nobody knows more about sports at McGill than Zuckerman.
McGill-Harvard in 1874 had the first intercollegiate football game, and then in 1875 the first known hockey game, first indoor hockey game in the world was played with a number of McGill students here in Montreal. And then James Naismith was a McGill graduate. He played football, soccer, he was in gymnastics, a few other sports at McGill. And when he graduated, he invented basketball around 1892. So McGill was pretty central, McGill students were pretty central in organizing three of the top major sports in North America.
At the pinnacle of McGill's varsity sports program, Zuckerman was covering 48 different teams at the same time. In those days, he often worked 20 hours a day, slept at the school, and would go weeks without a break. Today, he gathers information on 28 teams and often writes 5 or 6 stories on the same night. There may be less teams than in McGill's heyday, but now Zuckerman has to also prepare his story for all social media, so the workload is just as intense.
I don't have much of personal life in a role like this. It's working in communications and sports information across Canada at the university level is a very time-consuming position, and it's a high burnout position. Most of my colleagues, I would say, leave the role after 4 or 5 years.
Of the thousands of stories Zuckerman has covered at McGill, his favorite story focuses on a special Redmond football team.
Definitely number one would probably be the 1987 Vanier Cup team with Mike Souls leading an underdog team. We were 3 touchdown underdogs and won the Vanier Cup 47-11 over UBC. It was the largest margin of victory in the history of the National Football Championship.
Zuckerman is just as much a sports historian as he is a sports information officer. And all of his work is done from this small office above the gym in the McGill Sports Complex.
My office is a wonder to some people, how I find anything or get anything done in there. But I manage to know where most of my stuff is.
There is a lifetime of work on Zuckerman's desk, and to him it represents much more than just a collection of stories.
I think what I've taken away from these 35 odd years I've been at McGill, an appreciation for how hard the student athletes work, seeing our athletes do well, move on into wonderful careers, whether it be in athletics or in their academic world or business world.
In honor of Earl Zuckerman's work at McGill, he was recently presented with a special award of recognition.